Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the third episode of Genesis Theory. We have a special guest on our show today. She is the founder of Vixen Foodworks, which is the parent company of the super well known Scoopski Eats. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, Scoopski is India's first edible cookie dough brand, and it was launched in August 2018. Since its inception, our guest's food tech startup, based out of Kolkata, has been shaping India's DIY dessert culture and has become a rupees 3 million business. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our show for the very first time, and hopefully the first of many times, the youngest finalist of the TOI Women Entrepreneurship Awards, Vedika. How are you, Vedika?
Hi, Kush. That was really kind of you. Thank you so much for the kind words.
I mean, I hope I
I'm
did some
pumped to be
justice to
here.
you. I hope I did some
Oh,
justice to
more
you.
than that. Much
So,
more than that.
of course, it's great to have you on the show. This is our third episode.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. Wow.
Thank you. And yeah, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel once your videos are
Yes,
up.
click the subscribe button. Press the bell icon. Am I doing this right?
That's pretty much it. So I mean, I had to do some research on you because I had to introduce you properly. But everything I read about you, your story's been super fascinating. Did you always want to become an entrepreneur, or did you have other plans?
So like I didn't really have other plans than running my own company, but then I didn't know it would happen so soon. So I come from a background of business. So my
Okay.
family and my father runs a business. His father ran the same business. So we were never really into the job sector. We were more into our family business. But then
Okay.
I thought somewhere down the line I would own my own business, not get into my family business, of course. But I didn't know that would happen right after college. So yeah, like somewhere in my childhood itself, the entrepreneurship kida sort of got into me. But yeah, I think it took like a mental training of sorts to get me to start this early.
I think I've noticed this with everyone who belongs to a family that has their own family business, that they want to do everything they can to not get into the family business.
Oh man, yeah, you couldn't be more spot on there. Especially because I mean, in my case, things were a little different because we come from a transportation and warehousing background, and uh, all the male members in my family belong to that business. So I've
Yeah.
always seen men in that arena.
Okay.
I've never seen space for a woman there, and personally, I don't enjoy that space.
Definitely.
I've always been someone who's really passionate about consumer brands and building a brand of my own, being B2C than B2B. So I always knew that was my calling. But with this startup, I'm getting to, sort of get a stronghold in that fact that, yes, I've chosen the right career being
I
B2C.
mean, I'm pretty sure you have, given everything that I could find about you. But
Well,
at what point did I want to become an astronaut sort of idea that every kid has changed to screw that, I'm running my own business?
more than that, I think it started off from, I mean, I am a major foodie from birth. Like, I cannot do without good food. And more than that, I cannot do without talking about good food and sharing good food,
That makes two
right?
of us.
Yeah, I think like that is just growing and growing now. Like foodies, I think that
Yeah,
is
the
another
entire
pandemic
food culture.
altogether,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's another
100%.
pandemic altogether. Like, I mean, the food love amongst people is just growing right now, especially because of the growth of food content. Any kind
Yeah,
of food content, it's becoming viral by the minute, right?
and it
Any
gets
kind of cake
it's
cutting video you see.
and it's more difficult to go on diet simply because if you choose to go on a
Oh
diet, your
man,
friends will
yeah, no
spam you
wonder.
with pictures on Instagram.
Exactly. Oh man, I've been like a victim to that way too many times, and
Yeah.
guilty for that as well. So yeah, so I mean, basically, I was one of those people who couldn't do without talking about the love of my food. and so that really got me to the food industry. Now,
Okay.
what I could do with the food industry, in the food industry, the options were massive. Having my own business, maybe running a blog, maybe just like, talking about food to my friends, being as basic as that. So it just started off with the idea of belonging to a place which I love, and the place that was my passion, right? So everything to do with food was my passion, and this was the time when I was trying to lose a lot of weight. So this was the time when food was always on my mind but couldn't be on my plate, right?
Yeah.
So I was always thinking about food, and I'm like, shit, how do I do more with it? And that's when I thought that, okay, fine, if the a eureka moment has to happen, and if I have to get into the entrepreneurship life sometime, I want it to be around food.
Food. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So that sort of got into me sometime in high school and maybe college.
Okay.
And then when I came across this platform and this idea, that's when sort of started developing on its own. But the idea that I wanted to be in the food sector came long back.
Okay, so
That
you
that was a
sort of
no-brainer, in fact. Yeah.
so you were pretty clear on what you want to do from a pretty early age. So
Yeah, I guess we can say that.
have you always been into like baking as a hobby, or you hadn't baked anything until cookie dough caught your attention?
So fun fact, I am a terrible cook. Like I
Okay.
cannot cook to save my life. Like if I had to cook a meal for my family, I'd rather give them sandwiches or maybe Maggie. Like I'd rather survive on that than cook
Grilled
a
cheese
proper
and
meal.
Maggie.
Oh, mac and cheese, the best.
Yep.
More about mac and cheese. That is lifesaver. But I mean, I was a great experimenter of sorts. Like if I
Okay.
had a Maggie in front of me, I would probably make Szechuan Maggie or like cheese oregano Maggie. I would do my own variations of it. But ask me to cook a pasta from scratch, I'll be like, bye bye. I can't do that. So I needed hacks for myself because
Okay.
I am a terrible cook. So that way I was thinking, what about people like me who can't cook, but they want like gourmet desserts, right? I mean, gourmet is desserts uh, at the length of their hands. I don't want to like constantly order from
Yeah.
Swiggy or Zomato or wait at a restaurant to get like a gourmet dessert. I want it, at my disposal, and I want to be able to do something more with it. So like the
Definitely.
thing with people like me who can't cook is that even if we make the smallest thing that turns out to be decently good, we like to take immense credit for it.
I'm sure.
Like even if I make like the absolute shit cake on earth, but my topping is really good,
Yeah.
I'll take credit for the entire cake and I would want you to rave about it. Right. So I mean, the thing with this product is that it enables people to do that.
Yeah.
You cannot just eat cookie dough, you can do so much more with it effortlessly.
Yeah. Hence
So
the DIY side of things.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what got me to sort of getting this product to the market. I'm like, if I can do so much with it, people like me can also do so much with it. And there are a lot of people like me in the
I'm,
market.
I'm, I mean, I'm one of them.
Exactly.
I make Maggie when, I have nothing better to do because that's all I
And
can make.
Maggie is like, again, a no-brainer. You can do so much with it, but the basic Maggie itself is the best thing out there.
Yeah. So,
So, you're just basically having endless customization options, but even the base product is as good.
yeah, I mean, that's what I did when I ordered the 3 jars. I
Hmm.
just, while
I had it
watching the
straight from the
game,
jar.
yeah,
Yeah.
straight from the jar. I mean, after I finished the first jar, I realized that, oh, I can actually bake this thing. It's not meant to
Yeah, that's
only
like
be
the
eaten
second
with a
thing that
spoon.
comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the first off.
But I mean, I enjoyed it, so I'm sure a lot of people did.
Well,
So,
I'm glad to hear that.
what sort of got you started? How did you get this idea? What's your story? I mean, I know your story, but the viewers don't. So,
So this happened back in 2017 when I had gone to Harvard for my summer exchange, and that's when we had taken a small trip to New York.
okay,
And so that was the time when cookie dough was just rising as a food trend. And in fact, it was named one of the food trends of 2017. Like that year was named like after the cookie dough trend. And that's when I got to try the product outside this one small store in New York. And I had to wait for like 2.5 hours just to get inside the store and get my hands on the product. And the fact that people were willing to do that really got me baffled. Like, why would anybody wait for a small store for 2.5 hours for a product which is not even a full product on its own? It's
Yeah.
a batter, like it's not even a dish on its own. So like, what would you do with it? Why would you stand there for that long? So it just like got me really intrigued, and my friends were willing to do that, so I was willing to do that, and I was there. And when I went into the store, it was like super, super indulgent. It was basically like your regular ice cream parlor, but 10x of that in terms
Multiple
of
flavors,
we,
pick whatever you
yeah,
want.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that store, I mean, it was like entering into a fairyland, like it was like basically having cookie dough, but you had cookie dough topped with ice cream. You could have cookie dough coned with cookie dough in it. I'm like, what have I
Wow.
entered? So yeah, that was like a brief meeting with me and cookie dough, and then that ended, and then I came back to India. And like I said, I'm a major foodie, and my cravings go out of this world. Like, when I crave something, I go insane. So that happened with me back in India. And yeah, so like the day I was craving cookie dough, I'm like, there's nothing like this here, and I
I
have to get
need
my
to
hands
start
on
it.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly, yeah. So then I sort of tried various recipes and like tried whipping something out of it. But then after a lot of failure, I sort of contacted a few relatives of mine who have done this baking course in the past and who have some sort of professional understanding of things. So then, like after a lot of experimentation, we sort of cracked the recipe and then did a lot of test runs, sent it to family and friends, and then sort of perfected the product and then ran with it.
Wow. That's, that really shows that going to Harvard does make people successful.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's sort of a policy, but if that gets things to work, then why
Yeah.
not?
But so how do you guys exactly operate? Like team, how do you guys ideate and try new flavors? How do you guys take care of the shipping and everything?
So all the flavors are developed in-house, and we are constantly developing flavors, like all the time. Like as we speak right now, flavors are being developed. So it is a long process before something is released. And we need to like test for a lot of things before launching a flavor, the shelf life, the taste
Okay.
profile, if it fits with a lot of people or not. So all of that is done in-house, and like we completely own the production as well, and we sell through our website, which is www.scoopski.in. And
That website, guys.
yeah, plug. So yeah, that's where we sell at. And yeah, all our sales are through our website currently. We are not listed on any third party platforms yet.
Okay.
um, and we operate through Kolkata, but in Kolkata, but we supply all over India through the
So
website.
not even Instagram store or Facebook store, nothing like that. Or do you guys have
Yeah,
that?
we do have a Facebook store, but then that is also linked to our website.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
it is basically online. Yeah,
So
that
how
is
do you,
that's our point of
what's
sale.
what's the team size?
So we are just like expanding our team size right now.
Okay.
So initially it was 6 women. Now we are moving on to a team of 10. So by September end, we'll be a team of 10 to 12 members.
So you guys started in house, but now you guys have your entire production unit of sorts. And
Yeah,
does
production
does
unit and
does
like sales
everyone
unit.
bake, or how does it go?
No, only the production unit does the production. Everyone else is communication, sales,
Okay.
accounting, social media, tech.
Okay. So you guys haven't hired any sort of like third-party marketing agencies or any app development agencies, nothing of that
No,
sort.
we do partner up with a couple of not agencies. Like we believe in partnering up with freelancers more than
Okay.
agencies. Because I mean, as an entrepreneur, I feel I work better with people than companies. So I mean, I'd like to build a rapport with one person and then trust my work with that one person to do the best job. So I like working with freelancers more than companies, but yeah, we do work with a lot of freelancers here and there.
See, for me, I personally I started off with freelancers, but I wasn't happy with the sort of results I got, and I realized that
Okay.
the sort of scale that I wanted to be at with my
Mm-hmm.
app, I just needed an agency who'd sort of make the right amount of noise with the brand ambassador we had and everything. So I guess
Yeah, of
it
course.
depends.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes the strategies just don't align.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the key with freelancers is getting the right one. Getting the right
Yeah,
one.
that's
It's like,
that's that's the entire thing,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And
I think
then
agencies have it sorted. Like every agency has it sorted for you. But I
yeah.
think freelancers, choosing the freelancers is like another nail in the coffin, you know? Like it's very, very important.
It is.
It is.
And how do
And
you go
how do you
about
go
picking the
about picking the
freelancers? Do you go to
freelancers? Do
like
you go to like
freelancer.com,
freelancer.com,
fiverr.com or something,
fiverr.com
or
or
is
something, or
it
is
like
it like
through and through
No.
other people?
So till now, I mean, again, fun fact, till now we haven't gone ahead and used any agency of that sort to hire people. It's
Wow.
all, sort
Word
of
of
word
mouth.
of mouth and like putting a basic disclaimer out there that we are hiring and
Okay.
whoever's interested can join in. And whenever we're working with freelancers, it's basically like we like the fact that people take the effort to sort of write to us on their own if they're looking
Yeah.
for some kind of client profile building, and if they do given some sort of a basic portfolio to you, or maybe like a basic project that they do for you in order to make you understand what they can do for you at length. So we really appreciate that kind of effort, and then maybe like if the work aligns with us, then we go ahead with that freelancer.
Makes sense. So where does your mother fit into all of this?
So she was a very, very key part of this when I was studying in Milan. Like she handled everything, from back end to front end to like client communication to production. So like she did everything. She was I mean, backbone of the company when I was there. I could all I could do was like coordinate on call and
Yeah.
emails and probably streamline things from there. But the real dirty groundwork had to be done by her here because the production work happens here, right?
Yeah.
So all of that was done by her, and till now, like every day, she handles like the production bit of it. So she does like she basically
Okay, so
delegates and
she's in
handles
charge
she's
that
in
of
production
charge of
bit.
the
cookie
cookie
dough
dough
creation part.
creation part.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And you
And
you
I'm more
take
of
care
like
of the
business
other,
development.
yeah. Okay, makes
Yeah,
sense.
basically
But
that.
that's a good, splitting up of things.
Yeah, like she doesn't interfere in my work. I don't interfere in her work because like we have defined our boundaries, and I think it works better that way.
Yeah, I mean it does. So come back
You
from
come back from
Harvard,
Harvard,
fascinated by
fascinated by
cookie dough.
cookie dough.
Was this
Was this
the sort of
the
a
sort of a
glowing light
glowing
bulb
light bulb
moment
moment
that this could be a
that this could
business,
be a
or
business,
were you
or
just
were
trying
you
to
just trying to
recreate
recreate
when you
when
started?
you started?
So like when
So
you
like when you
started,
When I
did you
started,
started,
know
did you
that you're
know that
starting
you're
it
starting it
to run a
to
business,
run
or
a
were you just
business, or were
starting
you
it to
starting it to
like fulfill your
like fulfill
cravings?
your cravings?
I mean, I think it's the latter because
Okay.
more than my cravings, I'm like, people deserve to have this here. Like, how can they not? And
I
especially my
need to
friends.
show
Yeah,
people what cookie dough is.
exactly. I'm like, this is what you're missing. Like, how can you not try it? And when I talk about food, I get really obsessive about it. So, like, when I was talking to my friends, I mean, it was basically to get my friends to try it. I'm like, I am raving about this product, and you don't even know what it tastes like. Like, this is not done. So that's what we did. And I just wanted, like, my friends and family to try it and understand where I'm coming from. And then they sort of liked it a lot as well, and then I'm like, if I have cracked the recipe, if I know this works, then why not give it out to a few more people? And that's how it went. So our initial like sales was just like word of mouth and WhatsApp marketing. Like
Yeah.
this one day in October in 2017, I sort of made this really shit poster on Canva, and I sent it out to all my contacts on WhatsApp, and that's how it started. Like if
Okay.
any of my contacts are looking at this video right now, they did get a notification back then, they'll be like, yeah, it was so shit, a poster. But then that sort of got the ball rolling, and yeah, that sort of got the entire concept out there that this product exists now and you can order.
Someone's working on it. Someone's trying to
Someone's working
put,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah, this little. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a kid, but then in relative
Someone's
terms, I
being
was.
too obsessive about it. They want us to try it, so
Exactly.
might as well buy it.
Might as well. And yeah, so I mean, I sort of took stock images from here and there and
Okay.
made it little appealing to look at in terms of aesthetic pictures, I mean, really drool-worthy
Yeah.
pictures. And then, yeah, that sort of got our first few orders. And since we were called Scoopski, we were serving it in scoops.
Yeah.
So they were served in like plastic boxes, and the
Okay.
cookie dough was shaped in terms in as
Scoops.
scoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had like different molds for the scoops as well. So the scoops as well were designed,
So it
and
didn't start off with the jar. It started off in
no, no,
plastic ones. Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
So that was the entire. That was like our MVP, if I might call that, because that was
Okay.
like a plastic box with scoops of cookie dough and like a sticker on top just to like put the branding out there.
Okay.
And that ran for a good month or so, month or two, before we sort of decided to shift to the jar packaging. Then the
Okay.
jar packaging was a plastic jar. Again, that was really shit. And our labels was really, really bad. But then the product started getting more traction because it was in a bigger container
Yeah.
and it was more easy to eat and all of that. And then we moved on to glass jars. So it was like
Okay.
another packaging development process itself.
So, did you guys just start the jars recently, or has it been a
No,
while?
no, it's been 2 years since the glass jar was started.
Oh, wow. So, right after you guys started, you guys changed your packaging quickly. And
Yeah, so we our company got incorporated October
oh,
2000, sorry, August
August.
2018.
Okay.
But our dry run sort of like, product development, test runs, all of that started 2017 itself.
Okay.
Like October, December 2017. That time we started like sort of like experimenting with the product, experimenting with the packaging, developing it, and getting, first few feedbacks.
Yeah.
And then we got the company incorporated in August. So the entire test run was done before we
That's
started
nice.
operations.
So, you guys sort of did the soft launch and did the final thing once you guys were
Yeah,
ready.
exactly. Got everything
Yeah.
streamlined and sort of all the crease meted out, and then we started official production.
That's really smart actually. So in my case, I think I saw your ads sometime last year, and
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram, and I was like, wow, this looks really good because just
Uh-huh.
sometime before that on Facebook, I think it was Business Insider or something, top
Mm-hmm.
whatever 5 desert joints in New York, and cookie dough came up. So
Yeah, yeah.
I had seen that video, and then I see Scoop Skeets. I'm like, wow, I couldn't go to the one in New York, but I can order this one. But then
Bringing New York to you.
but then I didn't end up ordering it. And then
Hmm.
I think a couple of months ago, Avishi sort of. So guys,
Hmm.
Avishi is a mutual friend of ours, and
Shout out.
yeah. So I think she commented on some Indulge Express article of yours on
Hmm.
LinkedIn, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is the same person who started Scoopski. So I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna try it. I'm curious. So I
Yeah.
ordered it, and I mean, guys, you should order it if you're into desserts. Even if you aren't into desserts, you should try it. It's amazing. I like it.
Thank you. Thank
Definitely
you.
get the blue one.
Monster.
Monster, not blue one, monster.
Yeah,
So
that can paint your tongue blue as well.
yeah, it did.
Like
It
like
did.
childhood nostalgia, like having those tongue coloring lollipops and then showing it off.
Yeah,
That basically triggered that flavor. The idea for that flavor.
but oh, I thought it would have been inspired from like the Cookie Monster because he was
Yeah, then
blue.
we named it that,
Oh,
but we wanted it to like color your tongue because it was launched during Holi.
oh,
So the
okay.
entire feeling of,
Makes
coloring
sense.
yourself and
Makes
yeah.
sense. Makes sense. So definitely, fascinating to see how well you guys have grown over the past couple of years. But both of us know that that's just half the picture. What have been some failures or whatever bad experiences, and what did you learn from them?
So, of course, there have been a lot of failures. But then the thing about failures is that sometimes they just like stay at the back and don't come in the forefront, and
Yeah,
people just don't get it that they were ever a part of the picture. But then, of course, they were, and
that's
they
that's
still are.
exactly why we've started this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, it's a great thing that you started that so that people get, I mean, look at the entire picture and
yeah,
get the real sense of it, right?
and especially
So
from
yeah,
someone who's just in the early days of their journey. If they learn from them, then it's much more relatable. So that's the whole
exactly. Because
point.
like the mistakes early on are
Yeah,
something you can still tackle head on. But
yeah,
then if you are well into the business and then you make mistakes, that sort of gets difficult
Yeah,
to sort of sort out, you know.
definitely.
Um, but yeah, we have had our share of failures. Like we have tried launching a couple of flavors which didn't work at all. Uh, for example, marshmallow was one of our flavors that didn't work at all,
Did work?
and
Marshmallow.
it didn't work.
Are you
It
serious?
was quite to our surprise as well, but
Wow.
it didn't work at all. And we had invested quite a lot in that flavor because developing that flavor wasn't easy and wasn't, I mean, cheap. It was quite an expensive flavor for us,
Was it like
but
marshmallow
that
fluff?
didn't work. Marshmallow fluff, yes. We were importing marshmallow fluff for that. We
Okay.
weren't using Indian marshmallow because you don't really get marshmallow fluff in India.
Yeah.
So we were importing that, and that again was a major fail. So we thought, maybe we could have done more test runs for it before launching the flavor to see if it really aligns with the Indian taste palette or not. Because as a flavor, it seems really exciting.
Yeah.
But would you go for a repurchase of that? Not really sure. So, that was something we didn't really pay attention to at that time, which is why that was a failure. Also, while developing the entire product, while consulting with a lot of people, we did make a lot of mistakes with going with the wrong people
Okay.
to get on board for the project. So having the right eye for the right person is also really important. And through those failures, I sort of developed this barrier, to a filtering
A
process,
filtering process,
basically,
yeah.
yeah, to let people through or not.
Yeah.
And that is now sort of instinctive in
Yeah.
me now. Like if there are some key red flags that I see, and I'm like, no, that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
And that can only
And
happen through experience. You can't have that. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I'm glad that happened. I'm glad I faced these kind of people failures right at the onset of it, because had that not been there and had that been like 2-3 years down the line,
Yeah.
I mean, the impact of those blunders would have been much more than what they were.
Definitely.
So yeah, choosing the right people, like you said, how do you choose the right freelancer?
Yeah.
The key things that you see that only gets developed as and when you interact with these people.
Yeah.
It's not head on at the first go. So I've had really bad experiences with designers, photographers who just didn't work out, like videographers. I mean, so the thing with these creative personnel is that you have to give them some sort of advance payment.
Yeah.
And if you don't like their work, that advance also goes, and they have invested their time and effort and money
Yeah.
for those creative shoots.
Yeah.
But then if they just don't align with you and your brand, you have to pay them, but you can't use
Yeah.
them.
You have to cut
So
them off. Yeah.
exactly. So you either let go of the kind of brand value you want to put out and put out a mediocre content out there just because you've paid for it.
Yeah.
So it's like the sunk cost fallacy, like you've just paid for it, so might as well go for it.
Yeah.
But then that is something you sort of have to
That actually makes things worse if you.
exactly, yeah. So you have to sort of like bet that out in your head. Do you really want to go ahead with that just because you paid for it, or do you want to take that risk and pay for something again and get it done again so that it meets your standard? So all of those mistakes I made in the past, and yeah, but then there's one thing was really clear in my head, that I cannot let the brand be compromised in any way.
Yeah.
So even if I'm working for 5 hours on one post, like someone is working for 5 hours on one post, and it is just not aligning with the brand value, I will not put it up. So that is something that has also come with time. And yeah, those were few of the mistakes that I made early on. Few of the learnings that I had early on was how to, again, people skills, how to deal with people in what way.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking to people, especially as a female entrepreneur of that age, you need to really carve your way out and carve your tone, your words out in many ways.
Just
So
be
there would
much
be a
more
lot of,
direct that I want this done. You have to get it done.
yeah, so sometimes being direct and head on really works.
Yeah.
Sometimes being diplomatic really, really works. Sometimes not talking about what you want at all really works.
Yeah.
So understanding that by making those mistakes was something really valuable to me.
No, this is
Really
great
valuable to
insight.
me.
This is great insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I mean, when you're starting out and when you're, in the growth phase, you will speak to a lot of people from different backgrounds in life.
Yeah.
So there might be founders you speak to, there might be investors you speak to, there might be daily wage earners you speak to, there might be contractors you speak to. So how do you really change your tone and the kind of communication you have with them?
Yeah.
That's really important. and how do you get their respect in the first phone call. That is very important to learn as well. So that is something that again comes with time. It just won't come at the first go, and for that you have to make the mistakes that I made. I mean, your own share of
Yeah.
mistakes, but then mistakes have to be made to sort of get this kind of learning out of that.
Really interesting. So, I mean, I'm just assuming here I don't know anything about the food industry in India, how it works, but being in the food business, I'm assuming that the penalties, fines, regulations would be really tight, right? Like, what safety forms or guidelines do you guys have to like follow daily, if any?
So basic sanitation is really, really important because
Yeah.
there can be a check anytime.
Okay.
These kind of checks don't come announced.
Okay.
So there can be a check anytime for sanitation purposes, especially now because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So basic protocols have to be followed, and your food safety and health requirements have to be followed. So your FSSAI licensing and all has to be done before you launch a food brand. And then completely depends on which kind of industry you belong to within the food industry, which kind of product you belong to within the food industry. For
Okay.
example, if you're doing a food product, then it has different set of licenses. If you're doing alcohol, there's a different set of licenses, much more stringent licenses. If you're running a restaurant, it has its own set of licenses. So completely depends on which product or whichever service you're running in this industry.
Interesting. So do you get like health inspectors coming over, or is it do
Yeah,
they
so
come over to your
initially you
production
have
unit to examine the product, or do they sort of ask you to give them the
no, so they
packaged
don't
whatever?
generally, yeah. So they basically care about the ancillary things that surround the product, not
Okay.
the product itself, because
Okay.
the product itself is completely depends on the taste, right? But
Yeah.
how it is being produced is what they care about.
Okay.
So how clean is your production unit? What are the connections that you have? If it's a gas connection, if it's electricity connection, if it's legal or not, how much voltage are you pulling? Are you pulling the legal required voltage or not? Are
Wow.
you pulling more than that? All of that. And yeah, like do you have any pest issues? What's the kind of ventilation that you have? What's the health background of the people who are working for you? So you need to give them medical report of the people working for you as well. All
Wow.
that is
Dude,
required.
this is
Yeah.
tough. This is so tough.
Yeah, running a
So
food business is like initially it is a bit of a task.
I mean, it's a task every day. The way you're talking about the air
So once you get that
filtration, this.
streamlined, oh, that is really important. But then again, that's a process, right? If you get that process to flow,
Yeah,
then it becomes auto. Yeah, it
yeah,
just becomes automatic. Then yeah, it's just like a teething issue, I feel.
yeah. But like
It
just
gets
while
sorted.
starting off, like you said, how much voltage are you pulling? If someone comes, or how much
Yeah.
voltage are you pulling? I didn't know I had to be aware of that. So
Yeah.
that'll be a
So
good
yeah,
learning
you need
curve.
to have those documents in place,
Yeah.
and yeah, you just need to know what the right protocols are for which area, and how much are you within the legal periphery or not. If you
Okay.
are, then you're good.
So I mean, failures, of course, part of the journey. What has been the best achievement, like the highest point till now?
Highest point till now, I feel. I mean, we haven't reached there yet in scale, but the highest achievement yet till now would be people from like out of India wanting the product, like really wanting the product. So there have been a couple of customers who have given it out to their friends, who have some have shipped it out as well. So we don't do the shipping, like we only ship pan India, but some of them have gifted it out to their friends who live
Okay.
outside of India, and they have really loved the product and they have raved about it. Then when I was in Milan, I took the products there, and people in Milan also really loved it. People in Singapore really loved it.
Well,
So I mean, getting like good feedback from the people, I mean, the sort of community that wasn't made for, getting the kind of feedback and acceptance from there really sort of gives me a sense of reassurance that,
you're on the
yeah, like
right
this
track.
can go
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, it
So that
definitely
was
will.
something really exciting. And also, every time somebody does something experimental with a product, like personally, I feel really happy. I'm like,
So when
wow,
they
I've
share the
given them a
pictures with
tool.
you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's like I've given them the tool. Now you're like a free bird. Do whatever you want with it. So there are people making pancakes, waffles out of it.
Wow.
There was one person who made like a Play-Doh castle out of cookie dough, like a kid. for their birthday parties, so like they were making things out of cookie dough on Zoom call for birthday parties.
Wow.
And yeah, it was like someone made a teddy bear, someone made a castle, and I'm like, wow, like I would have never thought of that.
That's really interesting. And
Yeah, those were some of the really great things that happened.
so, what was sort of the point, the moment which turned Scoopski from a kitchen experiment to a business?
Hmm.
Like, what was that? Was it someone recommending it to someone and then them offering you money to buy it, or what was that
Hmm.
moment?
So it has been bootstrapped in now, by the way. We haven't taken external funding even once.
Okay.
And we plan to keep it that way till the time we can sustain the growth. And what happened was in the beginning of 2018, we participated in this flea market
Oh yeah.
and with the basic version of our jars. And that was the plastic jars, like just the basic version of the packaging, but the product was sort of similar. And that's when we sold out within a few hours. And then we couldn't keep up with the demand. And that was the first time cookie dough was going out there. People were
Wow.
hearing about it. And that was the first time we went to market. And that time we couldn't keep up with the demand. And the packaging was so shit. So, like the fact that people were attracted to us because the packaging was also out of the question. Because initially, when people are your first set of customers are attracted to you, it
Yeah.
could be because of how your product looks, but that wasn't the case. So yeah, that was like eliminated for us. So we had more faith in the product now that yeah, the environment is
It's
correct to
working.
get
The
the
market has
customers.
accepted the cookie dough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then we started selling in Kolkata itself, but we started selling through Swiggy and Zomato.
Okay.
And again, it was word of mouth, and like it was like place your order on call, like a bakery. You were working like a bakery. It was like order on call basis, and that was for the first couple of months. And I'm like, people all over India wanted because we had a very active Instagram page, and people were getting redirected to
Yeah.
that, and they really wanted it. Like people all over India really wanted it, and we started getting more requests. Where are you based out of? Can I get my hands on it? Can you please courier it to me? And those requests started getting more. I mean, increasing more and more as the months progressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I don't capitalize on this now,
I'll miss out
either
on.
someone
Yeah.
else will, yeah,
Yeah.
either someone else will, or the entire trend will just die down.
Yeah.
So it is on me if I have to capitalize on it now. The time is like right now
Right
as we
now.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that time I'm like, so I was quite naive that time. I just like spoke to a couple of people who did website development, and I just asked around, how long does it take to get a website developed? And some people were like 2 months, some people were like 3 months minimum. And I'm like, how difficult can this be? Like 3 months to develop a website, just the designing bit of it. Like, I mean, I don't want like, world class website. I want a website that is functional and people get to know the product, and, something that is out there which people can use.
So did you start
Just
off
like
with
basic
Shopify?
functionality. I started off with Wix. I designed
Oh,
the entire
okay.
thing on Wix myself. And so the entire website was designed by me, and that was done within like 15 days. 15 days, the entire website was up and running. And yeah, so once the website was out, I'm like, now I am taking over India, like, as a market. And so then it moved from only Kolkata to every state in India. And then, as and when the demand started increasing for it, we moved from Wix, and we got
Built a proper
professional.
website. Yeah. And
Yeah,
never looked
we,
back since.
nah, never. And I'm glad that sort of people told me that, I got that wrong direction, that it takes 3 months to build a website. By
Yeah.
the way, it doesn't. It takes 10 to
10,
12
yeah.
days. Even if it's like a highly coded website, it takes 10 to 12 days tops if you have the right people to do it for
Yeah.
you. So, but I'm glad people told me that, it takes 2 to 3 months, because
It
had they
forced you
not told
to,
me,
yeah. It
yeah,
forced you
exactly, I
to
would have
for
probably
yourself.
waited
Yeah.
longer.
So, I mean, everyone draws inspiration from someone. Everyone has role models. So, who's your role model and who do you draw inspiration from apart from the cookie dough shop in New York?
So, I mean, I feel everyone around me has something to offer. Every conversation I have with people has something to offer. Like, I'm gaining so much from this conversation as well.
Thank you.
So, like it is everything. I mean, I don't have a role model as such. I've never believed in role models, like a single person being someone you look up to be. I feel I can take insights from every single person out there and be the best version of myself. Having all of these insights into me. So like the best of the best into one person. So I don't find one person to be the role model. But yeah, of course, I've always looked up to my dad, the way he functions. And the main thing about being a successful entrepreneur is troubleshooting. And the way he can troubleshoot, I haven't seen anybody else do that. So troubleshooting and sort of I mean thinking on the right track when you are really messing up
Yeah.
is what really strengthens you as an entrepreneur.
Just
So that is
staying
something he has taught
calm.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even if you're losing your mind, how do you make that loss? I mean, how do you turn that loss into
Yeah.
something productive?
Yeah.
So troubleshooting is something I've learned from him from my childhood. That's something he has been like imbibing into me since the very beginning, from school days, in fact.
Yeah.
So, whenever I would go to him for any issue that I had in school, and he's like, "This is nothing. Like, why are you worrying so much about it? This can be solved in this way. Simple." I'm like, "Really? Like, I never thought of it this way." So, yeah. So, like, troubleshooting is something that really got me to, start everything in the first place. So, if I had to choose a role model as such, I would say that's
Choose your
definitely
dad.
my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think that's for every kid, right? Like one of your parents is your role model.
Yeah.
And I think both of them are because like had my mom not been my role model, I would not have partnered with her. I think she's the ideal person to partner up with for this business because the way she can handle people, I don't think anybody can. Like even I can't. Nobody can. Like, I mean, every single person who has people managing skills, I think she has imbibed all of that into her without ever having any professional experience.
That's great.
So that's amazing, right? So like I think both of them, there's so much to learn from them that I don't need to look at the outside world for any kind of inspiration for a role model.
So it's the cookie dough shop in New York, your parents, and then yourself.
Then I think everyone around me
Yeah.
after that.
So, so we're nearing towards the end of the interview. So these questions will be based on what you've learned and what you'd like to pass on, and then there's like I'd call it slightly philosophical, but that's up to you to judge. So, what advice would you give to the person who, just like you were 2 years back, is trying to conjure up a cookie dough type, innovation in their kitchen? Any two or three things. What would you advise them?
All right, so I'll just like tell you what I experienced and how I got to like sort of learning these things.
Yeah.
So number one would be don't be too cautious. I mean, everyone around us is like, take your steps cautiously because right now is the time when you shape your lives and you create a career for yourself and
Yeah.
this is the time you will become where you want to get like stepping stones. I'm like, yeah, all of that is true, but don't be too cautious because if you are too cautious, maybe you just miss out on that one wave that you had to hop
Yeah.
on. So be aware, be alert, but be experimental also. Be super experimental. Fail at as many things as you can before you don't fail.
Yeah.
So, like before Scoopski took off, I had around 3 to 4 projects going on simultaneously. During school time, during college time, right after college, I was always up to something or the other. I still am up to something or the other. Like Scoopski is not the only thing I'm doing. I still have
Dine with
side projects
data.
going. Dine with data, right? Exactly. So I mean, people will judge you no matter what.
Yeah.
Either it's for your success or for your failure or for doing nothing.
Yeah.
So if that is the fact of life that people are going to judge you, might as well use it to your benefit, right? Let
I
them
mean,
judge you as much as they can.
I totally believe it. I agree with everything you said. I mean, like you said, you have other things going on. I have multiple things going on. I have this going on. I have my app going on. I have the show with the app going on. We are building an e-commerce store. So it's just
Wow.
multiple things that, because this is the
Exactly.
time to experiment. This is when, like, there's no better time that you'll get to experiment and just
True,
learn
that's
from
so
things.
true.
Yeah,
I totally believe in the fact of side hustle. Like, no matter what your main business is, and no matter what you do on a daily basis, you should always have a side hustle.
yeah,
Even if
definitely.
you're pursuing your passion right now, there
Yeah,
should still be a side hustle, like at all times. So, yeah, that is one thing I would definitely recommend to anybody starting out or even established. I mean, that this is not an age thing. Like, even if you're 60 and you have like a sort of, I mean, like a stable job,
yeah,
there's still enough time for you to start a side hustle. And side
definitely.
hustle might not be, money minting or anything of that sort. It
Just
is just
follow your
something that
habits,
diverts your
hobbies, follow
attention.
your
Exactly.
passion. Yeah,
Exactly. That's something a little different from what you do currently. That is it. That just helps you evolve as a person, and that just like adds to your human capital in some way or the other.
definitely. I agree
That
with all you
is
said.
really important.
So that's one.
And
What's the other thing?
yeah, that is one. And also, I think what really helps me sort of I mean, ground myself is I always try to think of what the best version of me would be doing right now. Like people think of, 5 years down the line, 3 years plan, five
Yeah,
years plan, 10 years plan. I'm like, what would the best version of me doing right now? And if I'm not able to do that, then at least I should take a step towards it. If I can't be the final product right now, I should at least be an MVP right now.
yeah. I
So
mean, that's very well said.
yeah, so like if, for example, in my head, uh, the best version of me currently would be working out.
Yeah.
And if I cannot work out right now, no matter what, at least I will take a half an hour speed walking. At least I'll do that.
Just put in
Basic,
even some effort.
some effort.
Yeah.
I mean, MVP is what makes the final product, right? So at least if you can't be the best version of yourself every day, strive to be the best version of yourself every day. If you can't, at least be the MVP.
Marginal
Don't go
improvements
below
every
that.
day. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That
So,
is something I've really tried to work on, and it has worked for me. So, yeah.
by the way, if I mean, I'm only suggesting this since you believe in it, you should check out Atomic Habits if you already haven't. It's a book
Oh well,
by
yeah,
James
that
Clear.
is the book textbook on my list. Like,
Yeah, you should definitely
completing a
read
book
it.
right now. Yeah,
You'll enjoy
that
it.
is definitely there.
So, what does going from 0 to 1 mean to you?
Well, okay.
You can
One
think
thing
about
about
it.
that. Uh, um, going 0 to 1. I think, going 0 to 1 is basically a very flawed concept, I feel. I mean, it has been celebrated a lot that you were an idea and now you're sort of stepping out and building something. So, you have gone the mile. But I think those 0.1, 0.11,
Yeah.
0.12, they are really, really important steps. So, all of that cumulatively gets to 1.
Yeah.
And I think there is no eureka moment from going from 0 to 1. I think if you can own
It's
the
in
entire
between.
process,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. The beauty is in the middle.
Yeah.
If you can own the entire process, in your head, you've already gone the mile.
Yeah.
It's just for people's validation to sort of correct that for you. But in your head, you've already gone the mile.
Yeah.
So for me, if I am improving every day, if I'm going one step ahead every day, for example, in terms of sales targets or in terms of social media or in terms of client approval, in terms of feedback, if I'm going one step above every day, then I am taking that step towards improvement, be it 0 to 1, be it 0 to 500, be it 0 to 0.1. That's one step ahead every day is what is growth for me. And that's the biggest leap of faith anyone can take when you try to invest in your own growth. So
Well
yeah,
said.
that is really important for me.
I concur. So, what sort of an impact do you want to have, if any? Doesn't have to be.
Impact, see, currently I won't say it is a very, very big impact, but it is something out there. So we have employed the female staff that we have for production. They used to be daily wage earners as household help in our locality, and we
Okay.
have employed them, and we have given them a stable job. and now they earn monthly wages, and they're perfecting what they are doing,
Yeah.
and they are earning much, much more than they used to
Okay.
earlier. And now, because of this job, they have started understanding basic English.
Yeah.
They have started understanding basic English to the level that, without any supervision, they can produce the order, they can
Yeah.
ship out the order, they can label everything, they can match the names of the order with the product,
Yeah.
everything, without having any formal education whatsoever. So I think those little things adding to the human capital in some sort of way, so that it increases their value as an employee in any sort of field,
Yeah.
increasing their chances of being employed in the future as well, is really impactful for me, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Impact doesn't have a size. Impact is what you believe in helps others, is what I feel.
Yeah, that's very rightly said.
Yeah.
And especially because, I mean, knowing where they're coming from, they come from really, really humble backgrounds,
Yeah.
and sort of empowering them in a way that now a few of them earn double of what their husbands would. So that way, I think it is really, I mean, at the end of the day, they go and give their money to their husbands. That is something that society will change, that
Yeah.
you and me can't change.
Yeah.
But then the fact that they have that kind of mentality that if I want, I can be independent now,
Yeah.
that is a step towards making a greater impact.
Brilliant.
And I feel as and when we grow, I would like to empower these kind of women more.
And I'm sure you will. So,
I hope so.
so best of luck for that. We're done with the interview. And
Thank you so much. It was a blast.
how was it? Any feedback? Did you enjoy? You
I
didn't
really
enjoy
enjoyed
it?
it. In
Okay.
fact, no, I really enjoyed it. In fact, I mean, this was a good way to introspect as well.
Yeah.
Because as and when I was speaking, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I didn't really think of this, in such depth.
Yeah.
So thank you for having this conversation. It was
No, definitely.
really important, and it was very nice to have this.
I mean, it was fun for me as well because like you said, you learn from every conversations, and for me, this is also learning because I don't know much. Even I'm just starting off, so learning from other people who have started off before me or even with me, but have different learnings, that helps. So
And the great thing that you're doing this apart from everything else that you have going on, like taking out the time to do this is really commendable, because I
thank you.
mean, even if one or two people listen to this and they gain something out of it, I think impact is made right there,
Hopefully,
just by a conversation.
that's the plan.
Yeah.
So thank
All
you
the
so
best
much.
for it, though.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
And I mean, if you know someone who would like to be on the show as well, you can let me know and I'll set that up as well.
Awesome. I'll do that.
Okay, bye.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.